All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original QueenAShakur show. I'm your host, QueenAShakur, and these are your daily vitamins. So, as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at QueenAShakur. You can also follow the QueenAShakur fan page, and you can follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay, and now as you can see, I have the incomparable Beatzilla PDX official. Okay, and so everybody throw some fire emojis in the chat for Beatzilla.
Hey, everyone. Greetings, everyone out there in the royal chat. Y'all know me. I'm Beatzilla. If y'all see me in the chat, this is what I am. It's me.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So hello, Louise, Sexy One, Shots on Target, TJ, JB. All right. We got Christopher in the house. Hey, Christopher. Do Cigarillo, Lakiva, Louise, the Agitator, Rain Love, Nessie X, Christine, Melanated Brown is in town. Jane Doe, Kathy, Ayan Ma'at, Sexy One, Night Wolf, K. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. Hey, Original Copper American, Desmond Courtney. Okay, let's get into it. Shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone tuned into the Queen and Beatzilla.
Yes,
so let's get ready to talk about it, people. Okay. And so the nefariousness of Black Lives Matter. Y'all know I have been long exposing. I told y'all about the money that, was not accounted for with the $90 million that they raised in 2020. I showed you those receipts. I had Mr. CJ Sullivan on here who started the movement, and that was literally the name of it, the movement, until he was co-opted by Black Lives Matter. All right? And so with that all being said, we've also talked numerous times and occasions about Patrice Kahn Colors and all the money in real estate that she was purchasing, and as well as some of the other people involved. So now me and Beatzilla are going to let y'all hear about this. and so listen. Okay, so BLM activist named Bostonian of the Year, whose profit raised, or their nonprofit raised, $1 million, is charged with squandering much of it on rent arrears, $1,200 on a hotel, and meals at Bubba Gump Shrimp Company and Shake Shack after being arrested at her $450,000 home.
Ooh.
I mean, the nerve of some people. So let's get into it, Beatzilla. Now, first of all, Beatzilla, they say that her and her husband were both arrested. Okay, Monica Cannon Grant, age 41, and her husband Clark Grant, age 38, of Massachusetts, were who founded the nonprofit organization named Violence in Boston, have been charged in an 18-count indictment with, and here's some of the charges: wire fraud, conspiracy, and making false statements to a mortgage lending business. Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office said this in a statement on Tuesday, and Cannon Grant also faces a mail fraud account. She has denied all these allegations, all right? And the indictment alleges the couple used funds to pay for personal expenses, including but not limited to hotels, car rentals, auto repairs, restaurant meals, nail salons, and personal travel, amongst others. Now, Cannon Grant also allegedly paid herself $2,700 per week and then treated herself to a $4,050 5-bedroom house in Taunton, Massachusetts just last year. Now, she is accused of using much of the $1 million raised by her nonprofit Violence in Boston for good causes. Her salary jumped from $25,000 in 2020 to $170,000 in 2021. Beatzilla, what's
Woo! Okay, this. I want to put this in the correct context here. A lot of these, it reminds me of the movie Panther. So where it shows you how the police may get these people caught up, and they can serve some usefulness in the movement because they can fit in. So sometimes some of these people that they pick to represent whatever movement they want are actually criminals. And so when you see stuff like this, it just took me right back to Panther. Like, okay, so when y'all got in here and saw how the money could move, y'all started scheming like, oh, so we gonna get this little government hustle check, and then we also gonna be able to come up on this other little bit of money over here, don't stash them to the side, and think that these people ain't watching them. Yeah, you playing with the IRS's money. They understand fully where every cent went.
That's right.
Period.
That's right. I mean, this is a hot mess, but hold on, because there's more. Now, they go on to say that Cannon Grant was once named a Bostonian of the Year by the prestigious Boston Globe newspaper. Now she's been arrested at her spacious home just last week, and she appeared in a federal court this Monday alongside her husband. Judge Judith Dine, that is, released Cannon Grant on her own recognizance, stating that she could continue to work for violence in Boston, but that she must not be involved in the finances. Keep your hands out that offering plate with your thieving self. Now, Cannon Grant is the founder and CEO of the organization that was founded in 2017. And Grant is a founding director. That would be her husband. Now, the organization received significant attention at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, when the murder of George Floyd by police bolstered the nation's racial justice movement. But the BLM Foundation has also faced intense scrutiny over financial transparency in recent months, and leaders admitted that they had not been clear about the movement's finances and governance over the years. And for those of you that have been watching since, I believe it was November the 21st of last year, that's when I reported all the information about the money that wasn't accounted for. And then 3 days later, mysteriously, Black Lives Matter comes out and admits themselves that, hey, we haven't been telling y'all the truth about this money. And in fact, they said exactly what I told you 3 days prior, was that they've been giving some of the money to political campaigns, mainly the Democrats, and that the biggest vendor was Joe Biden, and next in line was Bernie Sanders. The shade of it all, Stella.
And I actually had an argument with people on Twitter about this. Now, here's what, again, over here in the new black media, y'all might not understand, but this is real, true research over here. So when somebody is showing up over here, trust me, we came prepared. So, so what they wanted to do was, hey, well, how can you actually start saying what Black Lives Matter is and blah, blah, blah? Because this is actually a Twitter thread of Breonna Taylor's mother. They're going back and forth about complaining because that's the day that she called him out. And I said, well, you got to understand, I would be upset too as a parent of a slain child like she is. And then you guys are making all of this money to give to a political campaign and did nothing for the community. And now we see what Joe Biden did with the money. He's like, okay, thanks. I'm going to give it all to these immigrants. Get going.
That's right. That's right. And it's just also shady because not only did Tamika Palmer, who's Breonna Taylor's mother, complain, and mind you, the nerve of them using her child's name to generate donations and not give them any. But also, let's not forget that Michael Brown Sr. also complained, said they came to Ferguson, made all that money off of the death of his son, and that the only money he received was $500. And Ferguson is still in the same, predicament it was in 2014. And then also Samaria Rice, the mother of Tamir Rice, also came out and called them out about using her son's name and not doing anything substantial.
And you know what's so weird about that is all of this money that they made with this particular little particular small section of it, they were racking up over $185,000 just themselves. Wow. So what does that say about the grand scheme of the all of these different Black Lives Matter chapters who are just basically caking out on Black death?
Yeah.
So it's like it's became the new hustle.
Exactly. And you know what? It is a hustle for many. A lot of these so-called activists are just hustlers. And it's just akin to a lot of these so-called pro-Black conscious people that we have on YouTube who are doing the same thing, acting as though they're working at the behest of their community, but all they're doing is fattening their pockets and committing some of the same crimes, mind you, mortgage fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, you name it, and even including their spouses in it. So it's all going down, honey. A lot of these people are just complete frauds.
Yes.
Now, they go on to say that Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors stepped down as executive director of the Black Lives Matter Global Network last year amid scrutiny of her $3.2 million property empire. Yeah, I exposed her. All of her business came out in the streets. Now, the foundation has since opened up about such matters. It says the fiscal sponsor currently managing its money requires spending be approved by a collective action fund, which is a board made up of representatives of official Black Lives Matter chapters, they say.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot of good that'll do. That's like, hey, thief, I need this bank robber to go investigate these bank robbers and come back and give me the information.
Right. Exactly. Working in cahoots and coercion. It's all so crazy.
Lord. It's like the police investigating other police. Like, we're going to investigate this matter, and all of y'all got something to hide.
Right. And then people are looking surprised when they come back and say, oh, there's nothing to see here. We have no reason to think that anything. Please, that's it.
Exactly.
Now, it goes on to say that after George Floyd's killing in Minneapolis, the surge of donations saw the BLM Foundation go from small, scrappy, listen to this now, from a small, scrappy movement to maturing institution, while other organizations like Cannon Grant's Violence and Boston also saw the growth. Now, Cannon Grant and her husband are said to have misappropriated grants that were intended for their charity, including a $6,000 check that was given to them by Suffolk District Attorney's Office in June of 2019. Now, honey, you know that's bold. Now, they done took a check that they got from the district attorney, and now the district attorney has put them up on charges. That wasn't smart.
You know what this starting is? It's really sounding like operative movement, and it's really shaping up to sound like a broken tool, because for them to be that comfortable, it's like they had some assurance from somebody. I cannot believe they were that stupid. So,
right.
Yeah, it sounded to me like, oh, well, Black Lives Matter has now outworn its usefulness, except for one thing: the persecution of thieves with black faces. So now you are getting I would expect to see a little more of this too. I would not be surprised if this starts coming out city by city, state by state. Oh, these chapters,
chapter by chapter. I wouldn't be surprised either, Zilla, because I'm sorry, but you have to be very bold. And like you said, you got to have some type of inside information and think that it's okay and that nobody's going to say anything. If you literally take a check, that's almost $10,000, no less, from the government attorney's office.
That's literally from the government.
Right.
And then here, let me go do some fraud with it.
And here's the thing. The money was intended to be spent on a retreat for young men feared to be at risk of falling into crime. But they say instead, Cannon Grant and Grant treated themselves to meals at Bubblegum Shrimp Company and Shake Shack and a 3-night trip to Maryland that included a $1,200 hotel stay.
That goes to what they be saying, F them kids. Like that. Jeez. That is the essential, like, yeah, we're going to take all of this money. Yeah, I know y'all kids had y'all hopes set on this. Wow, man, something suddenly came up.
It's crazy, but You know what, B. Tiller? That's why I gave props to Colin Kaepernick the other day for his organization, because they're actually putting in the work and you actually are able to see the results, not just a lot of lip service. And he's not making money off of this. He's spending money. So there's the difference. And so anyway, now listen to this. They say Cannon Grant is also said to have used some of the cash on multiple trips to a Boston nail salon, as well as car rentals, groceries, and trips to Walmart. Now, mind y'all, Black women, now they're taking money from our community, giving it to people who have a whole anti-Asian hate crime bill against us and accuse us of beating them and committing hate crimes on them. And then it further goes on to say the $6,000 retreat was supposed to give these young men exposure to communities outside of the violence-riddled neighborhoods that they navigate through daily, as well as give them exposure to activities focused on community building and coping techniques. Now, another alleged incident in 2017 saw $3,000 of a $10,000 donation for needy children spent on paying for the couple's rent arrears. So they were behind in their rent. And now they live in large, honey, in a $450,000 house in just a few short years. Now make that make sense. Then listen to this. Cannon Grant and her husband also fraudulently applied. Now they need to be ashamed of themselves. Listen to this. They applied fraudulently for $100,000 in federal pandemic unemployment assistance benefits that they knew they were not eligible to receive because they had other sources of income at the time. Low down.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, these people here are off the charts. And I'm not really surprised, but it's almost like how you're hearing all of these artists, Love and Hip Hop stars. Two of them have already got taken down by that PPP loan fraud. But this has Democrat shield written all over it.
Absolutely.
And in the famous words of Neely Fuller, after white supremacists are done with their tools, they tend to break them.
That's right. So look, they've overstayed their welcome, honey, and this is what they're now. Right. It says they also lied to a mortgage lender by saying Violence in Boston's assets were their own to help pay for mortgage. Now, mind you, Violence in Boston, that's the nonprofit. So right. They told the mortgage lender, honey, that Violence in Boston's assets were their own. And they said this to help pay for mortgage fees and closing costs while they were buying that big, fancy, lavish, honey, $400,000 house. But hold on, because I want to show the footage. Because there's
there's footage of it? Uh-oh.
There's a picture of what looks to be the living room, honey, and it's laid out.
Yikes.
I'm going to share my screen. Honey, because they absolutely did beyond the most.
They came up like drug dealers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, hold on just a second.
Oh, Lord.
I'm
the movie starts, they're in the slums, and then next thing you know, they're in the high-rise condo.
Rags to riches, no less. There it is. Look at that.
Oh, my Lord. Look at the TV.
That's what I said. We said at the same time, honey. Look at the TV and the color coordination. I love it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that couch.
That's what I'm talking about. And look, this is carpet. I actually thought that was a rug.
Oh, that is straight up carpet, ain't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Looks like they were balling out of control, honey. Hold on. Here's another. Let me see what this is. It says Cannon Grant and her husband were arrested at their home in Taunton. Okay, so this is the home right here.
Oh, they got one of them country homes.
Right.
That neighborhood is probably gated.
Yeah. It's nice. It's them right here. Now, they sure did go to Bubba Gump and Shake Shack, no less. Looks like they went a little too many times, if you ask me. I'm just saying, honey. Say it.
Lord. Oh, is she okay? And this sister's 41.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I said before, these people they can use people who may have certain issues or vices, and instead of giving them time, they give them a role.
Right.
And so nobody like us is in position to have any kind of movement. They'll move these little shills in and say, hey, we need you to man this movement for us, and we'll pay you this, we'll pay you that, and then we need you to set up these financial organizations. That it just ensures the system, the powers that should not be. That gives them leverage for later.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And you're seeing this couple. You're seeing this couple's later today.
Looks like their wake-up call came a little sooner than they expected. Now, it goes on to say the couple maintained exclusive control over organization finances and did not disclose to other Violence in Boston directors or bookkeepers or financial auditors that they had used the funds for their own purposes. Now, late Tuesday, they were arrested at their $450,000 Taunton residence, and it remains unclear if funds given to the nonprofit organization were used to buy the 5-bedroom home, which was purchased in 2021 at the height of their alleged scamming.
Oh, wow.
And so now it says both were charged in an 18-count indictment with wire fraud, conspiracy, and making false statements to the mortgage lending business. Cannon Grant also faces a mail fraud count. Now, she claims to have previously filed to the IRS and the state attorney general's charity division that she has not been receiving a salary. But mind you, she's been giving herself all that money every week.
She put that in paper to the IRS?
That's what it says. It says she claims to have previously filed to the IRS and the state attorney general's charity division. So isn't that something? So she acted like this was just all charity. She didn't get any money, wasn't getting a salary from the, because here's the thing. When you have these nonprofits, you are allowed to pay yourself a salary.
Right.
But she lied about it and said she wasn't paying herself nothing and then took way more than she should have been getting. Now, they said the prosecutor said that in October of 2020, Cannon Grant was starting to pay herself $2,788 per week. Because remember, at first it was like $1,277 or something like that.
Right.
So the organization runs a food pantry twice a week. And prior to Cannon Grant's arrival in court, her attorney, Robert Goldstein, said he expected her to be vindicated. Oh, yeah, please. That's what he told her. Now, he says, we are extremely disappointed. The government rushed to judgment here. This is what he said in an email. VIB and Monica have been fully cooperating, and their production of records remains ongoing. Drawing conclusions from an incomplete factual record does not represent the fair and fully informed process that a citizen deserves from its government, especially someone like Monica, who has worked tirelessly on the behalf of her community. Prosecutors did not reveal the total amount of money collected by Violence in Boston that was transferred into the Grant's personal accounts. I bet they didn't. And so, because they probably haven't added it all up yet, and they probably have numerous accounts, pay attention, not just one or two.
Right.
And it says, here is Monica Grant leaving the Moakley Federal Courthouse. She did not want to make a comment and left in a black SUV with her head ducked, I'll bet, and wearing shades. Her lead defense attorney, Robert Goldstein, says he is very disappointed by her arrest, and they've been cooperating fully. He is not disappointed, honey, because that's why he's getting a whole check.
That's hilarious.
Disappointed when you're getting paid for her getting arrested.
You know what? I'm just getting more and more evidence of a Democratic shield being broken. So here we got the lawyer to come out and kind of make her a martyr.
Right.
But she gonna do that time. But for us black folks, it's like, see, she's going down because she was so concerned about the community.
Right. Exactly. And you know what else that does? It can also be used to discourage other would-be activists who are sincere about fighting and working for their community, discourage them from even trying it. Because
Exactly.
this example say, well, she was framed. You know, they just put all this on her. All so crazy. So now Clark Grant was previously charged in October with illegally obtaining an estimated $67,950 in pandemic-related unemployment benefits before claiming that the nonprofit's assets were his own in a mortgage application. Now, hold on. This is sounding all familiar.
Goodness.
Hold on. This is sounding all too familiar because there's another story that is very reminiscent of this. And I want you to pay attention because here's the thing. One thing about it, when they start talking about mortgage fraud, bank fraud, and wire fraud, the feds, when they come, they have the receipts on this. Because here's the thing. You have to be engaged in mortgage fraud and wire fraud and bank fraud. You have to have gone to that mortgage company and told those lies and signed the documents.
Yes.
That's what you had to do. So it's no framing. You literally did exactly what you're accused of, honey. There's no way you can get framed for mortgage fraud because I used to work in real estate. Now, goes on to say, in fact, I did my internship for a real estate attorney when I was in college as well. So said she lied about the assets on the mortgage application. That's another thing they do. You know, and sometimes when they can't get more properties, they'll get their spouse involved so that they can get the purchases for them. And that person always goes down with them. That's how it works. Now, they say he was working. And here's the thing. One could say, oh, well, or she could say, what I was doing, I was being a whole activist and I was out here working for my people and this, that, and the third. And that's why they're trying to bring me down. But, honey, was your husband an activist too? And so they're bringing both of y'all down. Make it make sense. She was likely using her husband to get properties in his name or just do some of this stuff, you know, because you do it all by yourself when you start getting greedy, you see.
Right.
Greedy, it's going to start looking suspicious. Then you got to bring in somebody else to be your co-conspirator. And that's how it usually works. Now, listen, it says, hold on. Now, they got all this money from the pandemic-related unemployment benefits before claiming that the nonprofit's assets were his own in a mortgage application. And see, that's the thing. He signed that application. I want you to pay attention. Because when people say, that's what I'm saying. When they come and try to say, oh, you know, the feds are setting me up, they frame me. Well, they do set you up when you do these kind of things. That's what they get. They sit back and watch and wait, and they gather their evidence and all of that, and keep gathering evidence until they get you. Because remember, this all started, they said, back in 2017. And they're just now bringing it out because they're going to wait for years and do their investigation. So there's no way you can get out of it. So her lawyer is just running game on her.
Yes.
She's going to be vindicated. No, she's going to be sitting in a cell somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then it goes on to say that he was working in a full-time job at a transportation company at the time. Now, his court date on the new charges has not been scheduled. And Cannon Grant, in the meantime, received $33,426 in pandemic funds, according to the indictment. She also received thousands of dollars in consulting fees, as well as promoting diversity programs at private companies. That's what those fees were supposed to be used for. Now, one of those payments included a $75,000 grant from a media company in Boston called the Phantom Gourmet Television Program. And then it says, unemployment caught my ass. Asked me to provide documents by June unless I'll have to pay it all back. This is what Cannon Grant told her husband. Whoa, honey, they got the text messages. Cannon Grant told her husband.
Oh, my Lord.
Text message on March 26th of 2020 after realizing she'd been cold busted. So you ain't getting out of this, and that's what I'm telling you. The feds are not like regular police, honey. They're going to quit receipts. Now, this is all just a hot mess.
Wow.
Mess. Now, they say Violence in Boston was founded in 2017 with $1,000, according to its website. Donations poured into the nonprofit throughout the years. And as the group received more than $50,000 just for April of 2020 and $53,977 on another month from Boston officials in the wake of George Floyd's murder in May 2020. Violence in Boston's mission, they say, is to improve the quality of life and outcomes of individuals from underserved communities by reducing the prevalence of violence and the impact of associated trauma while addressing social injustices through advocacy and direct services. They say during the pandemic, the nonprofit distributed food. Now, Cannon grants activism, including the organization of a rally in the city of 2020 to protest the killing of Floyd, has earned her numerous awards, such as the Boston Globe Magazine's Bostonian of the Year Award and a Boston Celtics Heroes Among Us Award, both in 2020. The Cummings Foundation, which features prominently on Violence in Boston's website as a major donor of 3 years, $100,000 grant last year. That's what they have. They're cooperating. Now listen to this. They're now cooperating with authorities and monitoring the situation. Foundation Executive Director Joyce Virioti says. So the same people who gave them donations are now, and especially who gave them these huge checks like $100,000, honey,
right,
they're going to be cooperating.
Yep.
Now they say because Violence in Boston's next grant installment, which its second will be its second of 3 payments, is not scheduled to occur until late June. No decision on its potential distribution has yet been made. They say they'll be following the investigation closely, and so will me and Beatzilla.
Yes, indeed.
The foundation, established by the founder of the commercial real estate firm Cummings Properties, has distributed 1/3 of the grant amount, but no decision has been made on whether the next third will be distributed.
It shouldn't be. I mean, you gonna go ahead and distribute it to people who you know is fraud? Doesn't that make you complicit?
You know what somebody said in the comment section? Somebody said bank loans matter.
Yes,
bank
they
loans
do.
matter. And then someone said not so much not in the actual community, but just in their own pockets. Corrupted and defunct organization. And then they said Bostonian of the Year should be the con woman of the year.
Right. I mean, because that's crazy. And when I hear about, we always hear Black activists getting awards in cities. I live in a city with a real Black activist who is one of the first people before the con colors and all of them came on the scene. She's one of the first. And I've sat up here and watched her get overlooked by all of these other groups that come out here, and giving them buku bucks, while our sister over here, who is the one boots on the ground, because I've been in virtual meetings with some of these people. Oh, let's give money to this. Hey, has anybody got Don't Shoot PDX some money? Oh yeah, yeah. So we really haven't talked to Teresa. She's the only Black activist with an organization in this town. Why haven't you talked to her? But you giving money to all these other groups,
right?
For us. Yeah,
like that's what they love to say, right?
So when I see a Bostonian of the Year, miss me. She's bought and paid for if that's the case.
Absolutely. But let me say this, Beatzilla, this is just me being petty as usual. I cannot lie. And so that TV in the living room, let's get back to that, because I just want you to see this. The television is actually, in fact, wider than the wall it's mounted on. I'm sorry. I'm going to need them to make that make sense. You see that?
Oh, Lord.
Look at it. And it's like if you walk through that door too quickly, you might knock it off the wall.
Right. Oh, they stunting too much. That's too much stunting.
That's what I'm talking about. Stunting like they daddy.
Good grief. I mean, this just says, it just screams ghetto.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the one person on the scene that the news always puts the camera and the mic in front of.
Exactly.
Hey, y'all, I see this over here, and it was like this. Oh, shoot. Yeah, it's always going to be one of them. So this kind of was like they found them and said, hey, we're going to make y'all activists.
Right. Exactly. You know what? They probably were just being released from prison when they scooped them on up.
It's like, look here, we got a job. We got a job for you. You ain't got to worry about reporting to your PO. We got you.
Okay. It's just so crazy, right?
They picked him up with the shirts in the car.
Okay. You know who they actually remind me of with their foolishness? I mean, they got to be stupid, or they got to be agents, or just now I would call them displaced agents because they're no longer needed. But you know who they remind me of? You remember back about, I want to say, was it 1997? You remember the white folk? It was like 7 of them, and they robbed an armored truck, and the guy, one of them worked at the company, and I think a female worked there too, but they set the whole thing up as an inside job, right? Now remember the stupid stuff they did when they got that $7 million? One of them, now listen, one couple, they were living in a trailer 1 week. The next week or a few weeks later, they're in a $600,000 house. And then they went and spent $40,000 on an ugly Elvis oil painting.
Right.
That's trailer trash and trailer park.
Right.
And then one of them had the nerve to go into the bank with a briefcase with $200,000, and they still had the wrappers around the money, right? And took it in the bank and laid it up on the counter, opened the briefcase, and had the nerve to ask, how much of this can I deposit before you call the IRS? I told you this sounded familiar.
Woo! Yes, it does. I mean, because it's like we're almost talking about like the world's dumbest criminals. And this is, you know, I have heard some stuff out here to where people like don't believe the IRS is like one of the biggest gangs on the planet.
Yes.
It's like, nah, man. IRS, when they are on you, they gonna get all of the receipts and let you do what you need to do, and then they gonna send them feds in after you. It's IRS, then they put the feds on you, and then you gone. Because you're talking about a 97, like between 95 and 97% conviction rate.
Right.
So for her lawyer to be coming out there, I guess he's trying to convince her she's gonna be the 2%.
He is, because here's the thing, you know, the attorney's lying to them more likely than not, because he already said that he's sorry that they got arrested. Honey, if they had not, you wouldn't be higher. So you definitely are not sorry about making all those thousands, because I know he's charging them an arm and a leg, right?
Goldstein? Oh, Goldstein is getting paid.
Don't think I can get that too.
Yeah, Goldstein is not a public pretender. Okay.
Now let me read a couple of the comments. Keisha E says, "Queen, you bring straight fire in all you do. The graphics in the intro are amazing. May you and your generational descendants remain continuously and consistently covered in favor forever, prospering daily." Thank you, Keisha beloved, for your kind. Thank you. Oh my goodness, these people are a mess. Essential Oil Queen says, everyone knows the $10,000 IRS deposit rule. Yes, everyone should know that, beloved. It should be common sense, but those fools, they absolutely had none. That's one of the things they should have purchased when they stole all that money from the armored truck. They should have bought some common sense.
For real.
Oh, so crazy, right?
Absolutely.
And then Love JJ responded to what you said about the IRS, said facts. IRS is the Gestapo. Your son said feds watching them eating everything. Right. Probably sitting back saying, y'all go on and enjoy it all you can, honey, because that prison bologna that's green on one side,
oh,
it ain't going to be too good.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
And now, and then Breaking Red said, as Hank Hill would say, that boy ain't right.
Real, for real. I mean, because I have to wonder, you're literally on I think criminal, okay, right? So just to say, any criminal that you've ever grown up with is smart enough not to go take his pen and go start signing on something saying, hey, I'm fraud.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and sign this though, because I need the money.
Yes.
So, but nobody ever come back to me. Your name is on it. It's not like some random, I picked up a bag of money.
Right. And how greedy could they get? I mean, not only did they do all the fraudulent activities with the mortgage and all that stuff, lying to the mortgage lender, but they had the nerve to get money for the pandemic as well. And then the fool sent a whole text message.
Right.
How crazy is that? Where they do that at, right?
Oh man, it's like, hey, do you have any cocaine? You have any drugs over there? I mean, how much more self-incriminating can you be?
I'm talking about the worst. Chase Ryder says you can't beat the government because they make the rules. Absolutely.
Thank you.
TJ said, Queen, did you say they bought some common sense? Said they should have bought some common sense. Yes, that's what they should have done because they clearly had none. They were fresh out, beloved. Right. Okay. Pigeon the Poet said, thank you for being you, Queen. I wish YouTube gave me my notifications for the lives. I'm sorry, beloved. You know how they do. Sometimes they send them and sometimes they don't. But listen, what you can usually do is you can go to the YouTube community, and I usually post my links after I schedule the videos, or you can go to Twitter, DGoddess27, and I post them on there as well. Okay, because I posted this one, beloved. So just make sure you all are going there to look for your for your links. And then also another thing is, if you have not been receiving your notifications, make sure you double check to make sure you're still subscribed, because sometimes they'll unsubscribe people from the channel. So make sure you're checking to make sure you're still subscribed anytime you are not getting your notifications. Okay.
Because you know how they do to pro-black channels who speak the truth.
That's right. Woke One said you should never change your lifestyle that drastically it sends red flags. Well, Woke One, people with common sense would know that, but a lot of people committing these fraudulent activities don't seem to get it. And I'm gonna tell you something. One thing that I have learned in life is people who are not used to having anything, honey, when they get a little cash, the last thing they're gonna do is sit on it. They have to go ASAP. They cannot wait.
They say we was young, burning a hole in their pocket.
That's not be Philip. Now let's talk about Zelensky.
Oh Lord, yes.
Let's talk about Zelensky. I'm still mad about these prices, honey.
I think the gas prices in a lot of the sense is capped, because what these people tend to do is they'll basically utilize another situation somewhere else unaffected, but say they're affected as a unit. Now they can all inflate their prices.
Well, that's the thing. You may have not seen, because I know you're on Pacific time, so you likely didn't see the broadcast I did this morning. Okay, well, they called out Biden, the former pipeline workers. They called out Biden and Jen Psaki for lying, honey, at all cap, and then trying to blame it all on Putin, when in fact Biden's the one lying.
Right.
Jen Psaki sat there and said that, those people could get to drilling right away, and this, that, and the third, and this is all Putin's fault, honey. This is Biden's fault. And those workers said that if they really wanted to bring the gas prices back down, they could. All they would have to do is put them back to work. So that's just a whole bunch of BS, just like you said. So listen to this. It says Ukraine's Zelensky invokes Pearl Harbor 911 and calls out Biden and pleads to Congress for more U.S. help. So let's go to the footage in just a moment.
More U.S. help? 13 billion isn't good enough, and all of these 200 million in weapons that still didn't fit it, huh?
Right. Well, I thought, and not to mention, earlier this morning I also did a broadcast where it said that U.S. veterans were, in fact, training the Ukrainian volunteers to go over there and fight.
Yep.
I thought they said they were winning just last week.
That doesn't sound like victory to me.
That's what I said. They need to make that. Oh, no, B. Tilly, you missed this part, honey. But also, guess what Putin did?
He let the Africans in. I seen that part.
Not only that, he actually sanctioned Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden, and a whole bunch of other people. I'm talking about he got them so good. Watch that video when you get a chance, honey. I had all the receipts. I loved it. Yes. Now remember what he said, though. He said any country intervening was going to face severe consequences. Right. And I told y'all, all that tough talk Biden was doing and thinking he's doing something to Putin by, putting out all those sanctions. Putin is what was unbothered the whole time. That didn't stop anything. Right.
He was ready. He was ready.
Exactly. So anyway, it's all so crazy. So now listen to this. And by the way, doesn't Russia supply at least, let me make sure I'm not getting this confused. Yeah, they supply like 10% of the global oil supply. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, they say the Ukrainian president Volodymyr Zelensky made a historic virtual address to Congress on Wednesday, pleading with the U.S. to help stop Russia's invasion of Ukraine and calling out President Joe Biden by name in English, saying, being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace. I find that interesting because I thought that is what Biden was doing, was trying to help them. But apparently Biden's not working hard enough or fast enough. And I think he's still upset because they didn't get those no-fly zones. And I'm going to tell you why they didn't get them. You see, Biden doesn't want to authorize the no-fly zones because he already knows if he does that, Putin might just bring out the big guns. And by that, I mean nuclear. Okay? So I'm going to share the screen so we can see this clip.
Okay.
Arms to fight and defend themselves through all the difficult days ahead.
As the war in Ukraine enters its third week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky making a direct appeal to the U.S. to help bring peace to his country.
I'm addressing the President Biden. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
In a rare virtual address to Congress, Zelensky pleading for a no-fly zone over Ukraine to prevent Russian air attacks and asking for more military aid and economic sanctions against Moscow. President Biden responding with praise for Zelensky and laying out $800 million in new military support to Ukraine, including anti-aircraft systems. It's part of a broader $13 billion aid package Biden signed into law Tuesday.
The American people are answering President Zelensky's call for more help.
The White House announcing the U.S. is also supplying Ukraine with armed drones. But the president once again rejecting a no-fly zone over Ukraine, making clear this is Ukrainians' war to fight. Across Ukraine, scenes of devastation and destruction as Russia ramps up its indiscriminate bombings. Under relentless shelling, Ukrainian forces are displaying resilience. Satellite images show several Russian helicopters destroyed at an airbase in the southern part of the country. The leader of NATO urging a diplomatic solution as the fourth round of peace talks drags on.
The Ukrainians also are saying that they have seen some steps in the right direction is because they have been able to fight back.
It is clear the damage Putin has inflicted on Ukraine, but for those Russian troops, morale is said to be plummeting.
Rockets, missiles, and mortars continue to pound Ukraine, with officials estimating Russia has now launched more than 950 missiles since the war began. But the Russian ground troops have made limited or no progress in achieving their goals, leaving the troops demoralized and facing high casualties.
They are just sending their young soldiers to get slaughtered, I would say, because they're just sending them here. They are here coming in a war that they have no idea, no clue. They don't know the streets, they don't know the corners, they know nothing.
A U.S. official telling ABC as many as 10,000 Russian soldiers may have died. And in Moscow itself, the Kremlin cracking down on dissent. Some 15,000 protesters against the war have been detained. One of them, Marina Osvianikova, a producer at Russia's state television, arrested after interrupting a live broadcast with this sign: "Stop the war. Don't believe the propaganda. They're lying to you." The mother of two was released and ordered to pay a fine.
It was my own anti-war decision.
But the fine was light, perhaps an effort not to give the producer too much attention, leaving a strong suspicion more punishment may come at a later time. But her message to fellow Russians: do not be afraid. They cannot put all of us in jail.
Oh, you still muted, Queen.
Thank you.
There you go.
The chat. Thank you. That's just all so crazy. So, Zilla,
Yes.
you want to tell us about Putin and the Africans? Because I read about that too.
Yeah, it seems to be that he actually has let some Africans, refugees, come in and kind of make a base there to get back to where their home countries. So as all of these other ones see, then they're not. What's so funny is, again, you ain't gonna see that on mainstream media, and they have went out of their way to downplay. They're probably jamming a lot of them Africans now. They're probably jamming their phones, to keep them from posting videos on Twitter. Because the one Sunday where we saw the dude, he went through his whole trek, and then everybody tried to deny it. They're still trying to downplay it. Joy Reid's still trying to downplay it. But what I'm looking at now is we're still looking at supporting neo-Nazis. And now, what is it that they want from Joe Biden other than committing America to World War III?
Exactly.
That's all I'm hearing.
And that's exactly what it is. And also the global reset and the
Right.
new order. Another thing is, let me tell you something. You know, a lot of these African leaders and people over in the Middle East support Putin. Now, it was a couple of little, Ukraine, I guess we'll call them Ukrainian fans, right?
Right.
They're trying to say that Putin was only trying to help the Africans to spite Ukraine or whatever. But hold on, I got receipts, because actually, he was doing stuff with the Africans prior to all of this, as back in 2019 is one of the receipts I found. Now listen to this. It says in 2019, Vladimir Putin welcomed 43 African leaders to the inaugural Russian-Africa Summit. A higher turnout than Britain or France attracted to similar shindigs. Now, at the bash in Sochi, the Russian president lambasted the West for how it imposed political or other conditions on African countries.
Wow.
So Putin has been helping and working with Africa more than we can say from the divided snakes. Now let me continue. Yeah, this is what he said. Said Putin, the Russian president, lambasted the West for how it imposed political or other conditions on African countries, a reference to chiding about human rights. He said, we have a lot to offer to our African friends.
Wow.
That's what Putin said, and that was in 2019. And this is an article that I found on the LexisNexis website. Now, the summit stressed Russia's increasingly muscular approach to Africa. After Russia annexed Crimea in 2014 and the West imposed sanctions, it boosted efforts to sell arms, extract resources, and prop up shaky regimes. Now that Russia is suffering far more sweeping sanctions, it may wish to redouble its activities on the continent. But do African governments think it still has enough to offer? So there was a vote on March the 2nd. There was a vote on March the 2nd at the UN General Assembly to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine, suggesting that many are hedging their bets. But of the 54 African countries, 28 backed the motion, but 17 abstained and 8 were no-shows. Now, Eritrea, a Gulag state, joined Russia, Belarus, North Korea, and Syria in voting against. Now, they say whether these votes reflect ordinary Africans' views is unclear. Mobile phone surveys carried out last week in 6 African states for the by the Economist by Premise, an African research firm, suggest that government's ambivalence is reflected in public attitudes. Now, in Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and Uganda, pluralities held Russia most responsible for the war. But in Mali and the Ivory Coast, NATO was most often cited as the guilty party. And the votes at the UN partly reflect historical ties between Russia and ruling parties, especially in Southern Africa. Now, many of the region's elites studied in the Soviet Union. Some have fond memories of their time there because they weren't being oppressed and treated like dogs and left on the streets.
Wow.
Now, the liberation parties that still run Angola, Mozambique, whose flag features a Kalashnikov, Nyambi, South Africa, and Zimbabwe saw the Soviet Union as an ally in their fight to end white rule and consider Russia to be its successor. All abstained even though Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union too. Well, they say this nostalgia goes hand in hand with latent anti-Western views. And this is what Yurithi Mutiga of International Crisis Group, a Brussels-based think tank, notes resentments in the Horn at the way the U.S. has behaved in its unipolar moment. NATO's intervention in Libya in 2011, which ignored the African Union, that angered leaders like Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, another abstainer. The subsequent chaos, which spilled over into the Sahel, alienated the governments there. But Africa's relations with Russia are mainly about self-interest, not history or ideology. This is acutely so far countries that rely on mercenaries from the Wagner Group, which is backed by Yevgeny Prigozhin, a chum of Mr. Putin's. And there are an estimated 2,000 Wagner troops in Central Africa, in the Central African Republic, that are keeping rebels from toppling President Faustin Archange Touadera, reportedly in exchange for golds and diamonds. He is too dependent on them to change tack. So there you have it.
You know, that could be a very cold coalition with you, because you got to look at how the structures are played. So you got Russia, China, and now you're going to add Africa into the mix. You're basically closing in this continent. And what people don't know is Australia. So China is they're starting to put the squeeze on Australia, because where Australia went wrong is with that, if y'all remember the whole submarine nuclear deal. So what happened is they didn't like that. And China is like, hey, why are you guys trying to become nuclear? Oh, well, it wasn't. No, the material in the sub, you can build a weapon from. So China has not liked that move ever since. And what China told Australia is, you have to give us the same respect as you do America. And China is backing kind of neutral, backing Russia. So if y'all understand, you're got it's almost a full circle around this continent at this point of enemies.
Right.
So if he can solidify that Africa thing, a lot of people, woo.
And you know what? Dark Skin Brother said, truth and facts being spoken, Queen and Beatzilla. Thank you, beloved.
Thank you.
Kay Sampson says, India buying Russia all for a discount. Will the tech industry call the service global censor? Oh, so crazy. Shawshana said, melanated people aligning themselves with Esau will only face destruction. Well, here's the thing. either they align with Russia or the U.S. And some of them don't want to go against the U.S. because they don't, they want to keep that relationship. But I don't know why, because the U.S. is just going over there doing all kind of dirt. I mean, aren't they over there dropping bombs in Somalia? Didn't they go over there? Didn't Obama and give Hillary the okay to get NATO to go over there and help the rebels in Libya to assassinate Muammar Gaddafi after they smiled in that man's face?
Right. Had a meeting. Ooh,
yeah.
Cold.
I mean, that was just low down, honey. That was low down. Otis said, watch what China is doing to Africa. F China.
And see, that's the other part. See, now think of this. So if Putin can get China at bay in Russia, because they have a working relationship. So the person who could kind of smooth it over would be Putin. It's definitely not Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's not going to be him, honey, because you know what? On my report I did this morning, China actually wants to bring down the U.S. dollar, from being global and all of that. So it's a whole hot mess. Terry Hint says China is now #1 world power.
Well, you got to think. America is in debt to China.
Yeah. Trillions.
Trillions upon trillions of dollars, and then want to talk crazy to them, like they should be taking orders from them.
Exactly.
And I would advise y'all to go check out how that the swag of the Chinese Prime Minister. You might want to hear his get down because he talks very good English, and he talks like this when they ask him a question. So, what do you think about this? Look. When you get an Asian dude doing that, look. And then he gives his phrase. It's like, we have an issue over here, if you don't know. Okay. He's like, you better respect us like you do America, or you'll have a problem. And he told him straight up. I said, yikes.
Exactly. So they're not playing any games.
At all.
Real ugly. But hold on, let me show this video one more time. I just gotta show this again because I think I showed it twice already, but I don't think people grasped what this woman was sitting up here doing. Pay attention to the propaganda. Because we were so busy laughing at how she was trying to choose those words so carefully.
Right.
Karen. So hold on, let me make sure I'm pulling up the right one. I want to get the one with the guy asking her the question first.
Absolutely. Like I said, she pulled a Katanji. Well, first off, thank you for the question.
Right.
Well, there's studies and there's horseshoes and there's unicorns.
That's a good question that you brought up. And I'm so glad you asked it because I was just thinking this morning when I woke up out of bed, rolled over and got up to go make my coffee. I was hoping someone would ask me this. So you know what? I'm like, lady, just answer the darn question. Yes or no will suffice. Could you?
Right. Oh, wait.
I only have a minute left. Let me ask you, does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which in fact we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those.
Now, let me pause it right there for a second, because here's where I want you all to pay attention to how he leads her with his question. It's like when someone's on the witness stand in court and the prosecutor or either defense attorney, either could say something to give them the hints of what to say next. That's called leading the witness. And that's what he's about to do, because this is nothing more than propaganda being spewed to further demonize and vilify Russia and make Ukraine look like the little sad poor victim that nobody's trying to help.
Right.
research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware that the Russian propaganda groups are already putting out there all kinds of information about how they've uncovered a plot by the Ukrainians to release biological weapons in the country and with NATO's coordination. If there's a biological or chemical weapon incident or attack inside of Ukraine, is there any doubt in your mind that 100% it would be the Russians that would be behind it?
There is no doubt in my mind, Senator, and it is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Wow.
Bullshit. That's the U.S. classic technique to blame it on the other guy, what they're willing to do themselves. 9/11, anyone? Please, Miss Me, where that?
Oh my Lord. And always understand the religion of white supremacy is deception. And he just led her like a dog. So what you see in a room full of liars trying to pass themselves off as honest.
And then trying to act as though Russia is the one spewing propaganda when that's exactly what they're doing themselves.
Right.
We already know who's the biggest propagandist machine on the planet, globally, worldwide, bar none.
Right. And and going back to what you said earlier about Putin's sanctions, it makes more sense who he sanctioned.
Yeah.
Because of those labs.
Exactly.
So again, it's all propaganda. Well, why are you sanctioned then?
Exactly. Make that make sense. They cannot.
Yeah.
Absolutely cannot. So, the debacle continues. And I'm completely here for it.
Yes. May Babylon fall.
Exactly. And then Darnell says she keeps lying. Yes, she's lying. Terry Hint says all demons with New World Order. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Now, it was slick how he did it. But pay attention, because when he said, and would you say that Russia would be the one, if there is a bioweapon attack, that Russia would be the one to do it? And she said, there's no doubt in my mind. First of all, who are you? Who are you to say, are you a prophet? Are you a whole oracle? You gonna make a prediction? That's merely her opinion. I want y'all to pay attention.
Right.
To the devils who accuse other people of giving mis and disinformation, how they will sit there and try to pass off their own foolish opinions and lies as facts. Because even if she really thought that, even if she believed what she was saying were true, that doesn't mean anything, because that's just her opinion.
Right.
He said, is there any doubt in your mind? He didn't say, is there any facts, proof, evidence, receipts, or anything to substantiate this claim that Russia would in fact? No, he said, is there any doubt in your mind? What makes her mind more important or, more valid than anyone else's?
It's the boldness of I'm white and I say so. Because that's basically what it is. So I just need you to be I'm white and I say so right now. So would you say that if it was a biological attack, it would be Russia?
Right. Wait. Right. Please, Miss Sosa, with it.
Oh my Lord. This is political theater.
The whole world is a stage.
A stage for real. And I hope a lot of folks wake up to this reality, especially if y'all voted for the Democrats, went down ballot. Even if you didn't vote for Joe Biden, you fell to the down ballot trap. No, it's tangibles or nothing, because y'all see what goes on out here, and they're trying to mask the air with Ukraine.
Yeah.
So because we've been over here making all this noise about this black stuff.
That's right.
So they like, hey, we got to get something out here because these Negroes ain't going away. So let's because they know how they look to the world.
Yes.
So you got Ukraine now. Oh, they're white and little white children are dying. And we got so many of us that are lost.
And you know what? Think about it. Wasn't it just last week when they put out a story talking about some Ukrainians were turned away from coming here as refugees? That's all BS. That's all cap. You know darn well if they let the Mexicans come across the border with illegally and give them food, clothing, shelter, tangibles. I mean, those are tangibles, but I mean money and all of this stuff. You mean to tell me they're going to turn away those Europeans? That's what they didn't do. No. Okay? They can miss me with it.
And if nothing else, they'll just bring them in. No, well, they'll just bring them in and sneak them in. Here, put this ball cap on. You'll just fit in.
Exactly. Exactly. Because don't they all look alike? One supremacist, looks just like the other.
And here we have a certain Russian group. I mean, so they would just fit in. We wouldn't be. So how would we know that? Oh, this person just got here yesterday versus the people who I just seen in the store.
Well, wait a minute. Let me tell you this. I wonder how many of them DJ Vlad's going to take in. I'm just curious.
Ooh.
But here's the thing that I found interesting. One of my subscribers who's from the UK told me that over there, they're actually asking citizens to let them come on and stay in their homes if they got room.
What?
Yes, the people they don't even know. Like, okay, we're bringing over these Ukrainian refugees. Could y'all please, if you got any extra space, even if it's a little cubby hole, could you let them come and stay with you? I mean, they are doing the absolute most.
Oh my Lord! And this is definitely the whiteness coming together for itself.
On code.
Seriously, globally.
Exactly. So you see how they are doing the absolute most, honey.
Absolutely. And people have often said, what is this stuff over there got to do with us? You are watching the wagons get circled for global white supremacy right now.
That's right.
On your dollar.
If we don't pay attention to the fools talking about this is a distraction, if it is a distraction, it's clearly one we should be paying attention to. I always say, if you're using the left side and the right side of your brain, honey, and you are somebody who exercises critical thinking skills, you can pay attention to numerous things at the same time, so you never get distracted. But if we are not careful, we will be completely surrounded by wanton supremacists. Okay? On every turn. That's what happened. Now, hold on. Let me read a couple of these comments. Belinda says, Ohio bring them in also. I hope they don't ask me to take any in because it will be the last time after I cuss that whole ace out. Okay.
Lord.
Oh, so crazy.
Yeah, we got 707 in the chat.
What happened?
I said there's 707 in the chat. Well, now it went up to 792.
Emperor Rex talking about stuffed veal parmesan. Is that one of your favorite dishes? Salad D said, hell, we already surrounded. It's just getting worse. All right?
Right. That's true. That is so true.
Yes, honey. Yisan says ancient times we are living in.
Very much so.
It's all so crazy. Well, Big Zilla, if you have any closing words, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up.
All right. Well, of course, family, I can say with what we covered today, just be mindful and vet everything, vet everybody, because when you start seeing people getting awards from cities for being Black activists, that should raise an antenna to you, because usually if you're bringing the truth, your opposition ain't messing with you like that. And they definitely are not putting you in position to get awards.
That's right.
So, if they're co-signing them, you need to go on alert about those individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, you can follow me on YouTube at right here, BeatZillaPDX Official. And of course on Instagram, BeatZillaPDX, and on Twitter, BeatZillaPDX.
Somebody said, Ukraine lives matter. Putin is a criminal, a war criminal. Well,
oh Lord,
how you feel?
Yeah.
But what we're not gonna do is support wanton neo-Nazi supremacists in my chat. So y'all blocked.
Right?
We not on Team Ukraine over here, honey. We on Team Foundational Black Americans. Don't
Right?
twist it.
Right.
Now, with that all being said, listen, I want to thank you, lovely people, for all tuning in once again to the Queen Ahmadiyya, or the original Queen EXCLUSIVE-BLM show.
Mm-hmm.
And please make sure you like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Make sure you subscribe to Beatzilla PDX Officials channel also. And you can follow us on Instagram. You know, Beatzilla gave you his handle on Instagram. Mine is Queen EXCLUSIVE-BLM. You can also follow the Queen EXCLUSIVE-BLM fan page and follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. With that all being said, we're going to bid you all adieu. But hold on. Make sure that you look for your notifications in the next 30 minutes, because I got some more news on Jussie Smollett.
Uh-oh.
Right? And so with that all being said, I'm going to upload that one. I won't be going live, but I'm going to, upload it. So make sure you're looking for that notification. So I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity, and we will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Peace.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put 2 dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make sense.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyya.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyya.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyya.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyya. Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen. I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyya.
So the only